Hi, I'm Nina McVeigh.
And I'm Susan Beck.
We're going to do a binding technique that we've called riding the ridge, because that's exactly what we are doing. We are riding the ridge on the edge of our binding where we have put cording, and it makes it look absolutely perfect on the front side. For this technique, you're going to need binding cut 2 1/4 inches wide, a cotton yarn or cording to sew down the center of that binding.
So the cording will be on the inside of the binding.
Correct. We're going to use our number 23 applique foot to sew that cord down, because that cord just fits in the bottom of that foot.
So the channel on the bottom is the same as the cord.
Correct. And then I want to sew my binding on. I am going to be using the number 37 foot because I am on the 830 machine. I'm actually using our 37 dual feed foot.
Okay.
And then to sew the final step of that binding, I will be using the number 10 edge stitching foot. And again, because I'm on the 830, I am using the number 10 dual feed foot. So let's begin this at the machine. I'm going to take my applique foot and my cording and my binding, and we're going to sew that cording down. I'm going to zigzag my cording down. Now I've pressed my binding in half. You might want to mark a line if that's easier for you to follow the line. I've also opened up my zigzag a little bit because you don't want this real tight. You really just want to tack that cotton yarn or cording down the center.
So this is almost like piping, but not quite.
Yeah, yes. But again, when I'm done with this and I fold my binding in half, it will create a piped look. So when I finish, I'm going to take this part out of the machine. My first step is done. And I'm going to now take that strip where I zigzagged my yarn down and fold it back in half.
So your zigzag stitching will show on the back side of your quilt.
Correct. I'm going to now sew this to my square. So I need to put on my other foot, which will be my 37 dual feed. I'm going to sew this on to the right side of my quilt as you would any other type of binding. And of course I need to go back to my straight stitch. I'm really going to treat this now like I would any other binding. So when I come down to the corner, I'm going to do a mitered corner, which means I'm going to stop just shy of the corner and then fold my miter. And start stitching again. So when I'm finished sewing it on, I'm going to take it out of the machine, and now we're just going to turn that binding to the back side. You can see my ridge where my yarn is. I'm going to flip that to the back, and it's important that when I flip that to the back, it just covers my seam line. I need to change my foot and put on the number 10 foot, and again, this is going to be a dual feed foot. So I'm going to engage my dual feed. I'm now going to take this to the machine, and this works because of the guide in the foot, which is going to go into the ditch of the seam. So from the front side, I can always feel that little piece of yarn, or that it almost feels like a cording, and it's always to the left of this guide.
So you just run your finger along the seam and you feel it?
Yeah, that's correct. And it makes a nice, neat finish, not only from the right side, but also from the wrong side. And again, I'm sewing along that ridge, and that's why we call it
riding the ridge.
Riding the ridge. Let's take a look at how that looks on the back.
Well, it looks great on both sides.
Doesn't it? It's perfect in the ditch, and on the back, it makes a perfect ridge. I love this technique. Bernina can accommodate all your sewing needs, so visit your local Bernina dealer today.